Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Stargirl Season 1, Episode 5. It's called Hourman and Dr. Mid-Nite. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. And as the title would suggest, this kind of introduces, we already knew who Beth was, and we'd briefly seen Rick, but this is very much introducing both of them properly, especially Rick, because Rick had almost nothing before now. Plus, he gets the flashback, he gets the opening with the parents and the more dramatic side of things, and Beth kind of shoves her way
Tags
into
along.
it. Yeah, is basically the gist of it. I guess the first thing I'll get out of the way is I did have a problem in the flashback. And that's kind of extended to the rest of the episode. I thought the uncle character who takes care of Rick, I thought the actor wasn't particularly great. It wasn't actually as bad in the flashback per se, but once we see him as the upset, pretend father who's mad at his son all the time.
I agree, because I thought in the flashback he was fine, because, his character was okay. He was just, hey, middle of the night, here, come look after our kid for now. Oh, by the way, you're his dad now, good luck.
Yeah, left the house in your name,
Yeah, he seemed a bit bewildered, but he didn't seem like the stereotypical dick stepdad, uncle, whatever, that you've seen in countless other shows or films is pretty much what he became.
Yeah, it became very cliche. It became this angry sort of asshole type father. And I think the other problem with him as well is that there wasn't really any attempt to change his age between the two time periods. So it felt like he was still just, I don't know, 30 and the present day stuff, which doesn't really line up with the kid's age anymore. But because there's a whole scene the first time we see them together in present day, he essentially goes up to Rick, who's pissed because he stole his carburetor, because Rick's working on his car that belonged to his dad, and he really wants to get it all fixed up and get it running, and he's pissed because he bought a carburetor for himself, and his uncle sold it because I have to pay bills. And it leads to this confrontation where the uncle just sort of steps in and goes, "Go on, take a shot," and he gets right in his face. And I didn't really enjoy this moment. This was easily the weakest moment of the episode for me.
Yeah, it was so cliche and just, this again.
Yeah.
And like I say, it wasn't particularly well acted, although honestly I think it's hard to make any of this dialogue, whenever it's done in any story, I don't think any actor can really pull it off and make it convincing.
Yeah, no nuance or anything like that, which is kind of what this type of story would need. But, we get to the actual gist of the episode, which is Courtney has a bit of a close call with her mum, with her finding the outfit. Because, she's putting clothes in the closet because she's mad that she's leaving clothes everywhere. And, of course, Courtney just has her Stargirl outfit just sort of sitting in there, not even remotely hidden. So she decides to take all of the GSA stuff, including her costume, in a big duffel bag to school with her to hide in the locker. And there's some comedy there with not only Pat questioning the giant bag, but also Yolanda helping her stuff it in the locker. But
the lantern being stuck.
Yes, they're going around the school though, thinking about potential members to the team, and there's a interesting name drop of Artemis Croc just kind of floating around.
There is, and her villainous parents are in the next episode because they're the thumbnail for the next episode.
Well, there you go. That makes sense. I think this one was surprising because she's not on any of the posters or anything like that, so I have no idea what they're going to do with her, or to what extent she's going to be involved in the show. Does she become more of a prominent team member or character next season? Is she just being seeded here?
Oh yeah, and the options here is Artemis has been portrayed as both heroes and villains in the past with different identities, so they got free reign on this one, really.
Yeah. So that was an interesting drop because I didn't see that one coming. Because, like I say, unlike the other three characters who join her, she's not on the poster or mentioned. I mean, maybe she was mentioned in some sort of blurb at some point in the past, but nothing that I saw. So that was fun. The whole time though, Beth is just kind of walking behind them, eavesdropping, just listening, wanting to be included. Just
with the earphones in that are definitely not playing any music.
No. This is all a ruse. She just wants to hear more about what's going on. She makes some excuse to go over to Courtney's afterwards because it's Halloween. The episode's set during Halloween, and she goes over and says she's a friend of Courtney's. Follows the dog up the stairs because it was pointed out with the camera work earlier on that when Courtney was grabbing all the GSA stuff, that the Mid-Nite goggles did get left behind, and the dog's playing with them, and she ends up putting them on, and of course there's the AI on the goggles. It starts like sort of just basically just. She even points out herself. It's basically just Wikipedia. It just starts like giving her details about everything that she sees.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the way the goggles function here.
No?
I don't know. It just seems very easy from a writing perspective. Just being like, here's all the information you need constantly now for the rest of the episode, and probably more. I don't know. It felt easy for me.
What would you have preferred?
Well, I don't know. It mentions that it has all the settings with the infrared, the X-ray, all the various.
Which it does show off briefly. We see
it does, and I'm absolutely okay with that being a large part of it, and being the main part of it, basically. But instead it just feels like here's let's say here's Wikipedia at all times for the rest of the show now. I don't know. It felt a little uninspired to me, especially as I'm watching it, and it's just. Oh, how do we get them to find out about Rick's real identity? Oh, well, just look at him with the goggles. That'll do it.
Well, that didn't come till later in the episode, so I wasn't thinking about like what specific information we're going to get from it when they first introduced the idea, because this was quite early in the episode. She puts them on.
I wasn't thinking of anything specific, but I could already see the problem forming.
Yeah, I don't have a particular problem, mainly because if it didn't have this, I'd be like, well, why doesn't it? Almost. I mean, well. If I didn't have the AI, then I guess I wouldn't care that much. But it feels like such a natural thing to include with anything at this point. The idea of just having, I mean, it says like the GSA like database, I think it says, rather than the internet. But I assume it's also connected to the internet because of course it's searching for more details. Why wouldn't it be? Yeah, I have no issue with this. Nothing about it struck me as off. I had some fun with the comedy that came out of it, where she was kind of, saying things to Courtney before Courtney could say them about and even detecting the lie, for example, which I guess is something else that's going to be a big factor. I mean, do you have a problem with the lie detector element of it?
No, that's less of an issue. It's more just the whole database thing that kind of bugged me.
Yeah. So she ends up kind of sticking around, and they want to go find Rick because Pat's car breaks down whilst he's driving Courtney home, and he's like tinkering with the engine and stuff, and she's cracking jokes about how he's supposed to be a mechanic, yet his car's breaking down. And Rick kind of comes by and like recognizes the problem, and I mean, I thought they were going to do a comedy bit here where he actually fixes something that Pat can't. I thought they were going to go like full.
I did too, and I'm glad they didn't. It's more just, hey, that's your problem. He's like, yeah, I know, I got it covered.
Yeah, it was more of a bonding thing than it was a let's humiliate Pat thing. But the hourglass starts acting up a little bit, and Courtney sort of realizes it's to do with Rick, so she makes an excuse to go walking. When the car's going to take a while, she's like, I'll just follow. Well, I shouldn't say that. Obviously, she says I'll just walk home, but she actually follows Rick and tries to explain some of this to him. And then, of course, it's when she's with Beth, and Beth gets the information about who Rick is, who his dad really is, and so on. It's one of these things where I guess early on I could see why it's just all this easy information, but like I could see, because I think they overuse it in this episode because it's new and because they're justifying its existence. It's the sort of thing where there could be some fun reveals later on where just because they've not talked about something around the goggles, like something goes unknown for a while, and then all of a sudden or potentially it could also lead to plot holes where there's things that get revealed where it's like, why didn't the goggles know that? Why didn't...
I suspect that's more likely.
Why didn't the Mid-Nite AI not know about X thing? I mean, it makes it... Obviously, the goggles don't know literally everything. If something's just unknown, it won't know it.
Yeah, it just seems to have so much random information. Like the real accident that happened... Well, I say accident that happened with, Rick's parents. It has a perfect recreation simulation.
What? Well, why does that seem random to you? If anything, that makes more sense than almost any of the information that it has.
Well, who's updating the database with this simulation beforehand?
Well, no, I presume this is here because they investigated this at the time. Because they investigated.
That death was 9 years ago. That was the flashback at the start 9 years ago, which is after all of the JSA died at the start.
I didn't catch that. I assumed this was before Mid-Nite went, and that's
no, it was 9 years ago, which is why it's bugging me.
Oh, in that case, I don't know then. Fair point. Fair point. I mean, no, I that seemed natural to me because I assumed this was from an investigation that Mid-Nite did after the fact, and that's why it's recreated so heavily.
I wonder if I paid extra attention to the caption on the timestamp this time because I missed it last episode.
Yeah. I don't even think I noticed the timestamp. I just assumed it was around the right time because
that's what happened to me last episode.
Well, yeah, but I know what age this kid's supposed to be. And I know what the teenager is.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's just, to be fair,
kind of worked.
9 or 10 years is in the ballpark. They're both about right.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not criticizing that guess. You were roughly there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think my assumption that naturally came from an actual investigation made a lot of sense to me in the moment itself, which is why it never even entered my mind that this was weird that I had this information. I don't know where it's getting this from. This could be their magic. Yeah, probably a little bit too magical in terms of its information then. I mean, unless there's a reason for it to have this. Because you could be wrong. I don't know if I trust you, to be honest, given your mistake last time. That's also a possibility.
No, it was definitely 9 years this time.
I want the comments to confirm it. I want the comments to confirm that this incident at the start in the flashback takes place after the death of the JSA. I want a confirmation.
When we finish this, I'm going to go screenshot it and post a screenshot of that 9 years on Twitter and just make it damn clear.
You've hurt your credibility already, okay? I can't take it as fact. I'll take it as a strong possibility, but not fact. So.
Well, fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like there's a Halloween party which they go to find Rick because Rick's like, I don't know, he gets beer for people. He's a bit of a delinquent. He gets beer, and there's a guy dressed as Gizmo. Courtney puts the Gizmo mask on, which I mean, I'm a Gremlins fan, so cute, whatever. But they find him and he's not having any of it. He doesn't want to be a part of it. They even tell him everything basically that they know. He hasn't believed them, and it's not until he actually puts on the hourglass because he says, "How do you turn it on?" And Beth, actually being very useful here, says, "Well, I mean, how do you turn on any hourglass? You just turn it upside down. That's how it works." And he gets the super strength, and he punches a truck, he crushes a keg, and all the rest of it, and it kind of like. I think I enjoyed the hijinks of this episode with the characters because having Courtney, giving Yolanda Courtney to play off of for those beats that were kind of there, which was also mentioned. Henry's getting some brainwave powers. The telepathy's starting to kick in.
Yeah, it's starting.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I really thought they were going to do some sort of like oh shit moment at the end of an episode where. Oh wait, he's heard something, or he understands something, or I was surprised the first real occurrence of it was just kind of like him getting a sore head and then hearing the word jerk from Yolanda, like just kind of in that way.
I think the point right now is he doesn't realize what's happening, so that's still be the moment is when he understands that. Oh no, he can use this as information rather than just. Noise.
Oh yeah, but it's not the same. It's not the same oh shit moment for us.
No, it's not.
Well, that's gone. And it's not that they had to do that. It felt like such an obvious thing to do given what had been set up in the first couple of episodes. But hey, whatever. We'll see how they go with it. Especially if Henry ends up being team hero instead of team villain, because I can definitely see them playing that, like him choosing a side.
Probably after a certain amount of time.
Oh yeah, sure, but I can definitely see them going down that path, and I feel like him having this kind of history with Yolanda and like them sort of maybe coming to like an understanding of what actually happened, and kind of mending things, not actually getting back together as a couple, just sort of not hating each other past a certain point, might be something that we get to. I don't know, but
I can see that.
Yeah, they set up the idea that Rick has no interest in justice. He's all about the revenge. He's like, no, I'm in, because he's actually dead set against joining the team completely. Until they mention, no, your parents weren't murdered, or weren't. That wasn't an accident. Sorry, they were murdered. That's when the recreation comes into it. And as contrived as it may be to get there, now that I realise that this happened after the death of the rest of the GSA, it does the obvious but effective thing of having the hologram of the dead parents in the car, like going right through him. Like, it does the whole thing where he's kind of like this dull dawning on him. And it's not until they make it clear that no, there's a team of villains who did this, and they're in the town, and that's why we want to put the team together. That he's like, okay, I'm in, I'm in. Like, come on, let's do it. Let's go kill them all.
Yeah, this definitely can't possibly end badly.
Now, it's definitely something we see the JSA playing with in the past, though. You know, in the comics, the idea of someone wanting revenge. In fact, the very issue we're about to talk about, at a separate recording, is about someone wanting revenge and having to be talked down from killing someone. So, it's definitely something that it makes sense for me to play with. And interestingly, the Green Lantern was kind of turning on at one point. There was a wee bit of
I
from
was surprised because I kind of just thought, they're just not going to bother with the Lantern, right?
Yeah, I figured it would just be there, but at least this season. I mean, maybe this is just a small tease for, like, you know, maybe season 2, there's going to be some new...
maybe, but the fact that they're teasing it at all surprised me more. It was one of those things that, you know, seeing it in the headquarters with all the others was expected, right? Like, we can reference it existed, but not actually have an active one.
To be fair, it's the same with the pen, which, you know, I don't even think we mentioned last episode. You know, Courtney sort of tried it and then just put it in our little, you know, cup with the rest of our pens. And I feel like there's maybe almost like an assumption here that, I mean, maybe the reason why the 4 characters who are on the poster in costume are on the poster because they're all sort of introduced and obviously coming in the first half of the season. Like, it's entirely possible we'll have someone else using that pen or someone else with the Green Lantern by the end of the season.
Quite possibly. Honestly, the pen I would expect. That doesn't seem like a big deal in the sense that, you know, we're gonna do a Green Lantern does.
Oh yeah,
I think
of course.
That's the one that sticks out to me as surprising. Not because it's not on the poster, just because I would have just thought would have heard about it a long time ago.
Oh sure, but I just mean that there's a bunch of those items. So some of them are obviously being used for certain characters which have been heavily implied or teased or even just in the marketing, and then there's the other half of the items which have no clear direction because they were never brought up before. Yeah. So, and the pen kind of falls into that category, but the pen clearly has been set up for some sort of miraculous, like someone's going to click that and it's going to trigger.
I'll tell you who it's going to be right now.
The kid.
Yeah, it's going to be the brother. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Me too.
I'm okay with that.
You give him that genie and I sense fun times ahead.
You know what? Yeah, it's going to be the brother. And you know what? He was stabbing pumpkins with knives. He thought that was art. And I don't know if I'm... Actually, one of the funnier moments of this episode might have been him and... what's the mum's name again?
Barbara.
Them, like, listening to Beth's stories. And obviously, Barbara's trying to be nice and, like, smile and sort of, you know, listen to the stories. But after about, like, a minute of it, she's like, I need to make an excuse to, like, stop this right now. I need to prepare food and trick-or-treater stuff. Even though it's candy, like, what's preparing? You're just pouring it in a bowl. Like,
it's already in the bowl because Beth helped herself to some Kit Kat.
That's right, of course. So, yeah. I like the feel of this episode, even if a lot of the character stuff was a little bit in the contrived side.
Honestly, I think it's a little bit of a frustrating episode for me in that I'm not sure I really like Beth or Rick. Both kind of annoy me in different ways, in ways that, you know, none of the other characters have done so far.
I think that's fair. I think I have more of a problem with Rick. Rick's entire character plot feels far more cliched and tropey, and I feel the gears turning. Beth, I actually don't find that annoying. Honestly, because every character on the show reacts to her appropriately, I actually find most of her stuff fairly amusing.
I get what you're saying. But I found myself feeling like Barbara a lot of the time when she was just going off, and I'm like, oh god, please someone interrupt her.
Yeah, I'm not having that issue, but obviously the Pat stuff, he does try and give a carburetor to Rick, but he ends up with
because when Rick tells him that he's working on, you know, this yellow 66 Mustang, he's like, oh well, could it be? What a coincidence.
Yes. What would you believe another teenager in this high school has a father or parent that is...
Well, yes, he suspects, so he goes up, and then obviously the uncle introduces himself as the father, as he's supposed to, and, you know, throws him off the trail for now.
Yeah. So we'll see what's going on. He's kind of put it together because he tells Courtney about the wizard, like, seemingly being murdered by another member of this Injustice Society, which... You know, stuff. I think what's weird is that, and maybe what's the problem with some of this character stuff, and because I liked a lot of the stuff we learned the last episode, but not all of it. Some of it was a bit clunky. This episode, I'd say more of the Rick stuff was clunky, but there was fun to be had, and just sort of like Courtney with Yolanda and like them being more of a team, and Even just as something as simple as them running around on Halloween, it gave it a bit of atmosphere, it gave it a bit of a vibe, which I think is maybe the best thing the show's got going for it, outside of Courtney herself.
Yeah.
I think the issue, though, is that it's rushing so fast to try and put this team together that it is having to force its way through some of this stuff in a way that feels far too TV tropey just to get to the point.
Yeah. And I actually felt some pacing issues in this episode. There was like 2, 3, maybe even 4 times in this episode where I felt like I'd missed something. Like it just skipped ahead, like I'd missed a scene. And it felt really jarring whenever it did that.
Yeah. Villain stuff. God, I can't remember his name. The one who runs the city hall that, well, or was running it until Icicle showed up anyway.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, he's in the theater and they're stealing a satellite. There's a convoy coming with a big satellite. So this is presumably going to be part of the machine that's being built.
You would assume so.
Within Just Society. So there's not a lot here to go. Just showing how vicious they are, because even the guy he pays for giving them the information, he poisons with chocolate. he's dead at the end, and I'm like, what if he just didn't eat it? What if this guy just doesn't like chocolate and he just threw it away and like you hadn't killed him? Like, what was the plan then? I'm just
There'll have been a plan B.
Yeah. Fiddler does resist. In fact, the Fiddler comes up. I actually kind of appreciated this because the idea that some of these villains are legacy villains and not just the next one, or not just the original one, I should say. Because Pat's like, oh, you saw there was a violinist, there was a fiddler, and she's like, oh, I think I saw her, and she's like, this principal is her. She did that. She's the fiddler. And he's like, well, first of all, the fiddler was a man. Secondly, he was Irish. So, there's something not and. Don't get me wrong, we know she's right, and it is suspicious the way she's at. And we even see at the end of the episode, of course, she's actually doing fiddler villainous-esque things. She's entrancing the drivers with the fiddle.
Yep.
But so I think like Pat has to like almost stop being a little. I mean, he's not an arrogant guy in general, but maybe with this particular thing, just be a little less arrogant and accept the fact that maybe there's a new fiddler.
Honestly, I think he's starting to come around to that even by the end of this scene, because it starts with, no, what do you want about? You're just seeing things now. But then when she's like, well, no, she was playing the violin in a really creepy way in the hospital in Brainwave's room, he's like, okay, maybe there's something to this.
Yeah, something suspicious going on here. Yeah. It feels like we're in kind of a fairly enjoyable and entertaining still, but we're in a relative sort of rough patch where I think it's doing that kind of early season 1 stuff, and it's the sort of thing that I'm hoping it will come around on, and it feels like it could do, because there's many a show where season 1's had this problem where it opens with a bang, and then the next batch of episodes that are sort of setting everything up kind of suffer a little bit from.
I'm hoping once we've kind of got the team in place, we can kind of have some fun times from there onwards, because it's feeling a little bit formulaic at the moment, of even though it's only 2 episodes so far of okay, recruit the team member, just in terms of that it's already feeling like okay, I'm ready to just move on to the next part of the story. So hopefully it's not too long. I don't know, like I say, I know we've got some fun villains.
The next episode is called the Justice Society, so I feel like we're getting a proper team outing with the 4 of them.
Okay, that's cool. We've got Sportsmaster and Tigress, so that should be fun.
Could be interesting, yeah. It's there's a lot of things I still like about the show, but there's definitely some trappings that it's falling into, in terms of just being. And some of them are okay. Like some of these TV trappings, regardless of what they are fine. It's as long as it can keep what's good about it kind of bubbling along with it, and never lose that, then we should be okay. But we've seen this before. We've seen shows in the past, specifically CW shows, which will start off with some problems, but they'll be strong in a lot of ways, and then over time they'll kind of deteriorate. So I'm hoping that we're not seeing the early signs of that already with this one. I'm thinking mainly Supergirl more than anything here, but again, not a perfect show in its season 1, but there was a lot of things to like, and I think it wasn't until later seasons where we looked back at that first season and went, you know what, a lot of those good episodes, there's nothing that's matching those anymore. It's too bogged down in its shitty storytelling, which isn't in shitty storytelling mode yet, but there's definitely elements of shitty storytelling sort of peeking in.
There's elements that I'm like I say, I'm hoping it's just their desire to rush through stuff to get to the part where they actually want to be telling the story, so they're just kind of doing this formulaic stuff quickly just because they feel like it's necessary to do it all. So I'm hoping that's the case.
Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah. And the other thing, I mean, Cindy was there briefly. She's just been basically a bit of a cow, to sum it up.
Yeah,
Telling a friend to change.
Another little brief sequence with the janitor. I really hope the payoff for that's in this season, because that'll be fun.
Oh yeah, because Beth slips on his water.
Yeah.
On his water. That's a weird way of saying it. You know, on the floor where he's just been mopping.
Where he's mopping.
Yes. Yeah. And he says, I actually didn't even catch what he said. He said it so quick.
He said, "Be careful in the water. There are dragons," which is a fun little hint, actually.
Yeah. So he seems to know about certain dragon kings, perhaps. I don't know. Here be dragons. Some. Yeah. All right. So yeah, we'll see how next week goes. But that was Hourman and Dr. Mid-Nite. You know, as far as episodes go, I mean, it's kind of, we don't rate episodes here, but like, I'd be happily giving this like a 6.5. It's sort of.
Yeah, it's probably in that territory. It's. I think it's comfortably my least favorite episode so far.
I think that's fair.
But like I say, I'm hoping it's just a necessity point, and we'll get past it, and we'll get back to the fun stuff, and then have some good banter and, you know, storytelling that can pull some surprises, like it did with like the magician's stuff, you know, with on the bus, and
yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, so we'll see. So yeah, let us know what you thought of this in the comments. If you did make it to the end of the review, please put the word gizmo in the comments. You can, of course, like as well. Liking is really important on YouTube. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that you recommend us out to other people, and it'll do so. So it's the easiest, freest way of supporting us. If you wanted to support us in a less free way, you can go to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and do so for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses for your trouble and help keep all the content coming. But otherwise, get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. But thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?